Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you with another video here for a final look at the Week 6 NFL main slate. Before we get in the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. I'll have a link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, off of that on patreon.com. A few different packages: NBA package, NFL package, and esports package. And I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. If you guys are not familiar with PrizePicks, a couple different ways you can play for NFL. First way is taking over/under on fantasy points, and the second way is taking over/under on like passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, receptions, passing touchdowns, a lot of different ways. You can also mix and match sports too. They have every single sport you can think of. So if you guys want to try it out, sign up, use my code DKDFS. That's DKDFS, all one word. You'll get 100% match up to $100. All right, guys. So before we get into players and the prices for the Week 6 main slate, let's look back at my two lineups here in GPPs from Week 5. And man, both cash and tournaments, but it could have been a much, much bigger week for me. So first lineup, I had Daniel Jones. Again, cashed easily in GPPs, and he got injured early in the games. That was so tilting. If he has an average game, maybe 15 to 20 fantasy points, it's probably a 10x, 10 plus X for tournaments. So super tilting. He got injured. Nothing you can do about that, though. So yeah, Henry and Madison are two running backs I used in both my lineups. They were pretty clear plays, especially Alexander Madison at that price. Toney was a guy I was all over for value. I was a little bit surprised he came in at such low ownership. I used Devontae Adams, Tyler Boyd as a secondary stack here. Again, I used kind of a full game stack with Jones, Ingram, Toney with a bring back of CeeDee Lamb in this one. So that was my first lineup, cash easily, even with the injury. Second one, well, you had the Kyler Murray decides to do a no-look pass when DeAndre Hopkins wide open. So should have had another touchdown there. So this should have won a lot more in this one too. So that was very frustrating. But yeah, once again, I used a Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins stack. I brought it back with Ross Dwelly. Again, two running backs I used, and Toney in both lineups. Chenault, that game was just so frustrating. Jacksonville was throwing to everyone besides their top two wide receivers. That was so tilting. But yeah, you see CeeDee Lamb here as well. So that was it for both my tournament lineups, both cash. So hoping to keep it going for this week. Again, taking a look at the Vegas totals, not a lot that are super high. A couple in the 50s. Again, Kansas City and Washington's at 54. Chargers and Ravens is 51.5. Cowboys and Patriots just hit over 50. But yeah, no super high total games. All right, guys, so let's start off with quarterback. And at the top, MAHOMES, 8.3K. As I always say with Kansas City, the stack's going to go under-owned. Now, it's a little bit easier to get to this stack because there's a lot of cheap running back plays. But yeah, I like Patrick Mahomes a lot in GPPs. Probably not a cash game play for me. Now, Kyler Murray, high total game. I like him once again. He's got a little bit unlucky here with touchdown variance in recent weeks. I think this is a game he could explode, so I like him a good amount there for GPPs. He does have some rushing upside. Lamar Jackson's probably going to be one of the more popular plays on the week. Again, rushing upside plus great game environment, should be a high total game. I think he's one of the safest plays, is underpriced. Probably going to be a cash game play for sure. Herbert on the opposite side of the ball. I do think it makes for a good pivot off Lamar Jackson. Again, I think Lamar's going to get a ton of ownership, so you could just go to the other side of the ball with Herbert, who I think has similar upside, but probably a lower floor. Scrolling down a little bit more, I think Joe Burrow's a pretty solid play. The Cincinnati-Detroit game, I think, is a sneaky game that could shoot out. Neither defense is great. Burrow has three guys you can stack him with, so I think he makes for a pretty solid play there in the mid-range. Heineke, I think, will get some ownership because it should be good game script, right? They're going to be playing from behind most likely. He's not the best quarterback, but he doesn't need to be great in a game like this, so he's probably going to have to throw 40 times. So I think he makes for a relatively safe, cheaper option. And then once again, I like Daniel Jones. High total game. I think, if he can stay healthy, he's got a relatively high floor because of his rushing upside. So those are probably the two cheap guys to look to for quarterback. Moving on to running back. So we have everyone either out or questionable for running back. So McCaffrey out, Nick Chubb out. Again, we'll get to a couple plays there. Austin Eckler at 7.9, I think, is a very safe spend up. Very involved in the passing game, getting more rushing work as well. High total game, very safe spend up. Dalvin Cook at 7.7. The only issue here is he returned in week 4 and got a kind of a limited workload. So is there a chance he gets a limited workload here with Alexander Mattison playing really well? I think there is a chance. So Dalvin Cook, I would put more of a GPP only play for me. Again, Nick Chubb out. We'll talk about Kareem Hunt here in a sec. Zeke Elliott's questionable. I fully expect him to play. Saquon also out. We'll get to that. Jonathan Taylor at 6'6", I think is a solid play. I do think he'll be a little bit over-owned because of last game. The issue here is Nyheim Hines is still going to get snaps, and same with Marlon Mack. So he is not a true workhorse back, but should be a really good game script. They should be playing from ahead in this game, so I think Taylor has a lot of upside here. Gibson, expect him to play, as well as Joe Mixon. Now, Joe Mixon, they said Shamaji Perine won't be activated, and they expect Joe Mixon to get a normal workload here. And normal workload for him is like playing the entire game and being very involved in the pass game as well, in a game that should be playing from ahead. So if they are telling the truth, I think Joe Mixon makes for a very safe play in the mid-range. DeAndre Swift is firmly in play because his pass catching upside. They're getting him very much involved. The snaps are going up to 6, 6, 7, 5 targets the last 4 weeks. That's really solid for a guy in this range. Now, Kareem Hunt, keep an eye on that. He is also questionable. Expect him to play, though. And if he does, I think he makes for a pretty safe play. Obviously involved in the pass game, a high total game. Probably does get some more carries as well. So would like Kareem Hunt there a good amount in the mid-range. I think Henderson is super safe, going to be one of the more popular plays on the board. But assuming we get similar workload when he's been healthy the first 4 games, he makes for a very safe play. Because when he's been healthy, he's basically out there the entire game. And he is involved in the passing game, too. So I like Henderson a lot at that price. Chuba Hubbard at 5'9", I do think goes a little bit overlooked, but he had 24 carries last game and 5 catches and 6 targets. So there's a lot of solid running back plays. I think Chuba goes a little bit overlooked. I don't mind him for tournaments. Let's go down a little bit more. Damian Williams, he's also out. So we'll get to Chicago there for value. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's out again. There's going to be a lot of value plays here at running back. We'll start with one of them in Devontae Booker, who basically played the entire game once Saquon Barkley went out. Now, matchup against the Rams, not necessarily the best, but at this price point, it doesn't really matter if he's going to be out there the entire game. Again, he's not the most talented running back, but he's going to be involved in the pass game. He's probably going to get somewhere around 15 to 20 touches. I think he makes for pretty safe value at that price. Scrolling down a little bit more, Melvin Gordon, also questionable. Would assume he plays, but we'll keep an eye on that. If he's not, then Javonte Williams, I think, makes for a really solid play at only 5K. Rookie running back, who I think is very, very talented. Darrell Williams, I think, is going to be one of the more popular plays in the slate, but for good reason. No Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You would assume he is going to be the lead back, but you just don't know with Andy Reid. I feel like it could be McKinnon. You never know. More often than not, it's probably Darrell Williams, but Andy Reid seems to troll us a lot, us DFS players, so would I be super surprised if Jerick McKinnon gets majority of the touches? No, I wouldn't. Again, I think more often than not, it's going to be Darrell Williams, and he's really cheap. And if he gets the Clyde Edwards-Helaire role and he plays like 70% of the snaps, he makes for one of the best values at that price point. A couple other guys to talk about here. J.D. McKissic, 4.8K. Now, he is game flow dependent. So if Washington somehow gets off to an early lead here, he's not going to be as valuable. But they're most likely going to be playing from behind. And if they are, it's going to be a lot of J.D. McKissic in passing down roles. I think he makes for a good GBP play. And then, Khalil Herbert at 4.6 is going to be the lead back for the Bears. So, lead back, solid matchup, should be involved in the pass game. I think he makes for a pretty safe value there at 4.6. So, actually a lot of value in play at running back this week with so many guys banged up. Let's move on to wide receivers. So at the top, Davante Adams, 9K. If you have the salary, very safe. Probably going to get around double-digit targets. Has, really big upside like we saw last game. The only issue is, again, I think the ownership will be inflated after last game, but can't go wrong with Davante. Now, keep an eye on Tyreek Hill status. He is questionable. If he can't go, that's going to open up a lot of value here for Kansas City, right? McCole Hardman, Pringle, Robinson, those guys would all get a boost. So monitor that one with Tyreek Hill. If he does play, he makes for a good tournament play. Also, another guy listed as questionable, Mike Williams. Now, he didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, so wasn't spotted at Friday either. I think that's a sign that he probably doesn't play. And if he doesn't, that's going to make Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler even safer options. But Mike Williams, again, keep an eye on that one for sure. Scrolling down a little bit more, I think Cooper Kupp makes for a very safe play. Again, targets, going to get 10 targets a week. Good matchup here. Can't go wrong with Cooper Kupp. The price did come down a little bit. DeAndre Hopkins, I've played in the last 3 weeks. It didn't really work out until last week. And again, he should have had another touchdown there. So I think Hopkins makes for a good tournament play. Probably not a cash game play. Let's see. Now we're getting to some cheaper plays, and I got to start with Keenan Allen at only 6.4K. Whether Mike Williams plays or not, he's one of the safest plays on the board at this price point with the amount of targets he's playing, with the upside this offense brings. Yeah, I really, really like Keenan Allen. Robert Woods, mentioned him. That I was like, hey, we're not going to continue. We're going to get a breakout game from Robert Woods soon, and sure enough, it was against Seattle. 12 catches on 14 targets. He's still about $2,000 cheaper than Cooper Kupp, so I think once again he makes for a pretty safe play. Hollywood Brown at 5.9K does seem a little bit too cheap. The upside is enormous on him. The floor maybe a little bit lower than a guy like Keenan Allen on the opposite side of this game, but yeah, this is a game you could definitely stack up some pretty underpriced guys in my opinion. Adam Thielen at only 5.8K. I know he had a bad game last game, but this is a pretty cheap price for Thielen, right? He started off 7K. Now he's only 5.8. So this is, I don't mind trying to buy low on him. I think Justin Jefferson has established himself as the clear number 1 wide receiver, but Thielen still has some left in the tank, and that seems like a pretty cheap price point for him. All right, let's get to these Giants guys. So Toney and Sterling Shepard both expected to play in this game, 5K and 5.6K respectively. This is a game they should be playing from behind. It should be a relatively high total game. So I like both Giants receivers here. Toney flashed the upside as you saw last game, but again, Shepard should be in. So Toney maybe doesn't get 10 plus targets. Maybe the targets are down a little bit. But yeah, I like both Giants wide receivers at 5, 6, and 5K respectively. Again, when Sterling Shepard was healthy, he was super safe. The first 2 games, 7 catches on 9 targets, 9 catches on 10 targets. Giants, again, bad defense. So more often than not, they're going to be playing from behind. So I like both the Giants receivers there. I think T. Higgins is going to be a pretty popular play at only 5.3K, but good amount of targets, good matchup. I think he makes for a pretty safe play. Let's see, scrolling down a little bit more to some cheaper options. Robbie Anderson, people continue to try to buy low on him, and it hasn't worked. I'll continue to mention it because I still think he has some upside, and that was like a really cheap price, only 4.8K and a good matchup. But yeah, we haven't seen it yet from him. I do think he's going to have a breakout game soon. Will it be tomorrow? Not sure. Let's see. Again, McCole Hardman. So let's go to Kansas City really quick. Wait, are they in the... Hold on. Where is... Oh, first game. Okay, so, yeah, Tyreek Hill's out. Hardman, Robinson, Pringle. Can you make the argument for Josh Gordon, too? Sure. Like, there would be a lot of targets to go around there. So, definitely some value there with Kansas City if Tyreek Hill's out. Probably the safest would be Hardman. All right, so scrolling down a little bit more to some cheaper options. Not a ton that you're going to feel great about, kind of sub 4K. Let's see here. Let's go to Baltimore again. If so, Sammy Watkins is out. It's gonna be interesting to see how they work in these other wide receivers. Bateman was activated. Now, how much work does he get? Right, that's a question mark. So you would think Duvernay probably steps into that number 2 role at only 3.4K. I think he makes for an interesting value. Could you roll the dice on a guy like James Prochet? Sure, but again, what's going to happen with Bateman? How much work is he going to get? And then the opposite side for the Chargers, if Mike Williams is out, I think Guyton makes for a pretty solid play at only 3.4. He's been playing a good amount of snaps, but hasn't really got a ton of targets. But, with Mike Williams out of the offense, if he doesn't play, you would think Guyton should get more opportunities there at only 3.4K. So those two, I think, are viable plays, sub 4K, and some depending on injuries. But other than that, not a ton you're going to feel amazing about. Like KJ Osborne at 3.5 is fine, slot receiver for Minnesota. Hasn't had a big game recently, a few weeks, but we saw a couple big games from him early in the year. I mentioned those other Chiefs wide receivers, kind of depending on Tyreek Hill. And finally, tight end. So Travis Kelce at 7K, I think he's going to be, very, very popular, especially if Tyreek Hill's out. Super safe play. You're getting him at a discount. He was 8K for most of the year, and for some reason now he's down to 7K in a high total game. So Kelce makes for a very, very safe play. Mark Andrews at 5.2 also think we'll get some ownership, especially after that last big game of 44 fantasy points. Now again, high total game. This could definitely shoot out. So Andrews firmly in play for me at that price point. Dalton Schultz has definitely established himself as the number 1 tight end here for the Cowboys. But the price is up, and I don't love the matchup there. Let's see. Scrolling down a little bit more, I think Evan Ingram's fine too at 3.4. Sterling Shepard is back, but Again, the Giants are going to be playing from behind almost every single week, and he's relatively cheap for a guy that, you know, is going to get some red zone looks. Cheap options, I think Ricky Seals-Jones is going to be very popular, but without Logan Thomas, he was out there basically the entire game. And 5 catches and 9 targets, again, should be good game script here for Washington. So Ricky Seals-Jones, I think, probably makes for the safest, like, cheap target. They said they want to give Donald Parham more involved here for the Chargers. He's only 2.9. I would say he's more of a GPP-only play for me. But, yeah, I think that is really it for the breakdown, guys. So if you guys have been enjoying the video or been enjoying the content so far, make sure to leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't upload videos and go live. I will be doing a live stream tomorrow morning to answer any questions you guys have, so make sure to check that one out. We'll go over injury news as well. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the live stream.